just get this?
Take a look and let me know. That should be the first thing.
How was your They were jamming. I was talking to him,
Like, would it not expect me to learn that?
well, that's what they also kind of learn style. And then blurred lines came out. I was like, so I was like, maybe Mike.
Oh, we already approved it.
Yeah, I should speak to it again. Says this is really, aggravating. They forgot to put fire trucks, they the finance. Got that. So somehow found council figured that out, and that's what it's back. But he said it was voted on last night.
Well, if we already voted on it, then we don't have any.
Yeah, I was curious about the bond. But on the bond, we have to pay the interest.
That's right.
So with the bonds, interest rates being higher, that means we're potentially Yeah, they mentioned that. I've heard them say that. I heard Calvin say that.
With everything, because there's
I get the rest of it online. It's all on you.
takes it 100.
You don't ever have to print the rest from it. It's fine. Thank you. It's really unbelievable.
That's a matter of hitting the IRS at the right time. Neighborhood says to the IRS you're a 501c3.
Good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, June 3rd. The time is 6:41. we have public speak out, and to make sure we can get to everybody, we have 4 speakers, so we're going to get started. Everybody gets 3 minutes, and the first the first speaker is Liz Stevens.
So I am Elizabeth Stevens. I'm a member of the McKnight Neighborhood Council, and I'm here on behalf of the people of the McKnight neighborhood.
Liz, would you mind bringing the microphone down?
Oh, no, I
There you go.
don't.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm here on behalf of the people in McKnight, those who live there and those who drive through McKnight. As anyone driving into Springfield knows that if you're coming in from Chicopee or West Springfield, crossing the river, there's a sign that says that the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. But that's not really how it works. In my neighborhood, there is a speed limit sign on Bay Street, on St. James, and on Worthington. And each one of them says that it's 30 miles an hour. So at the request of the McKnight Neighborhood Council, I have done some work with Walk Bike Springfield, and then I went to the Traffic Commission and have asked them to change that speed limit, and they agreed to do a speed limit testing. They have a device that will sit there and take down what speed limits our cars are going, but they've done it on Bay Street, one street at a time, and so they still have Worthington and St. James, and they haven't started Worthington, and they have to wait until the roundabout is finished. So who knows how long this is going to take. Apparently the police department is in charge of doing it, and so I have attended 2 Traffic Commission meetings so far, and I should be attending another one. And I can barely read my handwriting here. So I just want to point out that only Boston has more pedestrian deaths in the state than Springfield. And that is not anything to be proud of. I also want to point out one other thing, that if you're driving west on State Street and you're approaching School and Spring intersection, you'll see that the miles per hour is 30 miles per hour. And then as you come to right at the steps of the Springfield City Library, we're talking a block and a half. It changes to 25 miles an hour. That is where Gail Ball was hit by a car and died as she was coming out of the library after working, and DPW has a plan of how to narrow things down, but once again, nothing is implemented. How many more people do we have to lose? Because people are walking over to the library parking lot.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for listening.
Appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking out. The next speaker is Stephen Howard. Mr. Howard.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm also a member of the McKnight Neighborhood Council, but I'm speaking as a concerned citizen. There are a couple of things real quick. I would like this body to consider making Speak Out part of the regular meeting, because as you see, roll call wasn't made. Folks may be on their way to the council. They're not going to hear what we're saying unless they went to Focus Springfield so that they could hear our concerns. The secretary is not here to make any notes. So I would really appreciate it if Speak Out could be included as part of the general meeting for the city council. Second, I was in the finance committee and the chair was kind enough to let me raise a point of information. It's concerning my collective donating 4, 5, maybe 5 bins whereby needles can be dropped in. I spoke to the police department and they said because the laws have been changed, they cannot arrest anybody if even they see them shooting up wherever, they cannot arrest them. So, because the law has been changed to protect them from being arrested for that. So we're looking to donate my collective, I should say our collective, which consists of Ariana Gray and Erica Andrews. So we're looking to donate 5 needle bins that's built similar to the way post office boxes are designed, but they're bigger than the post office boxes. You can put in, but you can't come out. Almost like a Roach Motel kind of thing. They check in, but they don't check out. So one will be going to the Rebecca Johnson School. Folks there are very appreciative of it because they, every day, have to go on the grounds, which is adjacent to a park, public park, which people have the right to be in. They shoot up there, they throw the discard of the hypodermic needles right there. The school has to have to then go and pick up those needles, put it in a bin provided to them by the Deborah Hunt, which is located across the street. That's a needle exchange program. So they give the school these bins to put these discard needles in. So every day they have to go and clean that up before they could actually allow the children to go and play on the grounds. Folks, it's their right, and they're not accommodating, they don't listen. There are 4 other places, 2 at the Dingle, 1 at the Triangle Park, and 1 at Magazine Park. Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Have a
Mr.
good
Howard.
evening.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. Our next speaker is James Harriman. Is Mr. Harriman here? Okay. Our last speaker is Betsy Johnson.
Yes, my name is, well, I can be official, Elizabeth Johnson, resident of downtown Springfield. I spoke on somewhat related issues a couple weeks ago in concern to Springfield's high pedestrian fatality rate, and have been involved with going to the Traffic Commission now for the last couple months, and have watched the East Springfield neighborhood a petition to the Traffic Commission to get more consistency of the traffic signal postings that are on Page Boulevard. I've watched Liz come and plead with them, saying I represent the neighborhood council. I have a letter from them, and yet they delay and they delay. And so I've done a bunch of research looking at the legislation that is allowing, that was passed went into effect in April 2023. It's called an Act to Reduce Traffic Fatalities. Sounds just what we need. And among the things this law said was that up to this point, the changing of posted, to get a posting of a speed limit or to change as posted had to go through, be done by the state. Through a state, MassDOT had to do a study and was the primary determinant of what should be the speed limit. This law changed this law that said now it's the jurisdiction and the responsibilities of local communities to be able to change their speed post and change their speed limits if they wanted to. But the problem is the language of the law is a bit confusing. The city council, the parks commissioners, a traffic commission, or traffic director, or the Department of Ways within their control may make, amend, or rescind special regulations as to the speed of motor vehicles. The problem where we're running into is which of those entities in Springfield is the ultimate body making that making that determination. Once that entity makes that determination, they shall have certified in writing that such regulation, amendment, or rescission is consistent with the public interest. That's the criteria they are supposed to use. They then submit that to the chief engineer at MassDOT, who I have been communicating back and forth with a number of emails to clarify what exactly is needed. And he says, no, they just need to send me that letter. I need the city council to determine who is it that the public who wants to change speed limits or get a speed limit posted, who do they go to? Is it the traffic commission? And if the traffic commission determines, does the traffic commission notify MassDOT? Right now, the DPW is holding up what the traffic commission voted on 3 months ago. So Kathy Brown keeps calling me. So thank you. Please make that determination.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Councilor Govan?
Mr. President, thank you. Might I suggest that I think the issues that Mrs. Stevens and Ms. Johnson brought up be sent to the Public Safety Committee for further discussion, because I am passionate about the speed limits in the city of Springfield, and I'm really interested in finding a way to solve that problem, because I think everybody's in agreement that the speed limit needs to be reduced, or at least uniform across the city, and we need to find a way to make that happen, because we just did a check your speed event on Berkshire Avenue last Friday, I think it was, and the very next morning, a car was speeding and there was a traffic accident, a really bad one. I thank God, I think no one was, fatally injured, but there were some injuries, and we just need to solve this problem ASAP. So if I may, I know the chairman is not here, but thank you, Mr. President.
We'll talk with Councilor Click Bruce about conducting a meeting on that subject for you. I'm sure he'd be happy to in the next month or so. Yeah, I mean, not my spot to weigh in, but I think part of the answer, Betsy, is it depends on the road, too. Some are completely within the jurisdiction of MDOT, and some are local roads, so.
This refers only to the local roads.
Yeah. Well, I won't weigh in beyond that, but I will say that it depends on the road that determines who has the jurisdiction.
Because Main Street and Indian Orchard, there's a confusion if that's a state road or if that's a city road.
That's right. Yeah,
So
sometimes it might.
I wonder if we could get that clarified somehow. 'Cause we need to slow
There
that
is-
speed down.
I'll send you the website.
I know this from another world, but there is MDOT has a website where you can, like an interactive tool, and you can see whether it's designated as a state road or a local road. Okay, so that will conclude our public speak out. Council will be in recess for 5 minutes until 7 p.m.
I was wondering if you brought your reports. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. No worries. Yeah. I have it right on my desk. Okay. I'm gonna try to come down tomorrow. Okay. If not Wednesday. Okay. And then we can schedule a meeting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the other thing you can always do is leave them with the council office staff, and we can just come pick them up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Because I know parking by us can be a little bit of a challenge.
Okay. Try and bring the chambers to order, please. Focus, let me know when we're good to go. Thank you, Josue. Good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, June 3rd. The time is 7:01. We have a City Council regular meeting scheduled for today. We are going to begin. Madam Clerk, will you please start by calling the roll?
Counselor Walsh.
Present.
Present. Counselor Allen.
Present.
Present. Counselor Delgado.
Present.
Present. Counselor Click Bruce.
Present.
Present. Counselor Govan.
Present.
Present. Counselor Brown. Absent. Counselor Davila. Absent. Counselor Curran. Absent. Counselor Santinello. Absent. Counselor Edwards.
Present.
Present. Counselor Whitfield. Absent. Counselor Perez.
Present.
Present. Counselor Fenton.
Present. Will the clerk please recognize the counselor on seat number 6?
Counselor Brown.
Present.
Present.
Will the council and our guests please rise for a moment of silence? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So, councilors, you'll notice on the agenda I put as item number 1 items in committee. I've asked the clerk to start doing this so he can check in and see if the item intends to stay in the committee with the committee chair, so it'll be a good reminder for us. The first item is Councilor Allen, the PEG Access Cable and Related Fund. Have you called a committee meeting on this subject yet?
I have not.
Would you like that matter to remain in committee?
Would I like to?
Would you like
I
that?
think it should remain in committee. I haven't remembered to do that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any reports of committee this evening? Councilor Allen.
I have a committee report of Finance. Finance Committee met this afternoon at 5:30. In attendance at the Finance Committee were Councilor Delgado, Councilor Govan, Councilor Walsh, Councilor Perez, Councilor Click Bruce, Councilor Davila, and Councilor Edwards, and myself. So we had great attendance there, about 8 councilors, I think. And we went through the whole agenda. It was a long agenda. A lot of questions came out of the CDBG and related kind of grants, where Kathy Bono and Jerry McCafferty answered a lot of questions about the grants and how money could be utilized or applied for, et cetera. One of the other big ones was the bonding, if you will, for bond authorization for 2 fire apparatus, which is something we talked about in the past, but I believe on this agenda, Kathy can speak to it a little bit. We approved everything. Oh, and there was a collective bargaining. Bill Mahoney was there for collective bargaining. So we approved everything. Councilor Delgado couldn't be involved with item number 5, but he approved the other ones, as did Councilor Edwards and myself. That's the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Any other reports of committee today? Councilor Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to update folks that the working group on digital equity met recently. As you know, Mr. President, that was the committee that you chaired last year. And so just really we're just getting folks back together. A number of folks have recommitted to stay on this working group, so to make sure that we get the draft report finalized. And also was happy to report that we were able to get the support of Sequoia Malone, who is a grant manager for from the CAFO's office, to help support this group as we move forward with many of these grant opportunities that are coming through the MBI. And then, so the next steps will be going out and doing some more listening sessions in some of the neighborhoods and to finalize that report.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor Delgado. Any other reports of committee? Will the clerk please recognize the councilor in seat number 9?
Councilor Santinello.
Present.
Chairman Brown, do you have a report of committee?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Today, me, Counselor, I want to say Counselor Boban was present, Counselor Allen, Counselor Dalvia. We met with a group that is going to be before the city council today with a lot of futuristic ideas when it comes to dealing with energy. They were very impressive as far as giving people different options when it comes to energy providing. Um, there was a few questions asked and answered, but all in all, they're going to present it to the council. And to me, it's really something that's going to revolutionize the way we have competitive biddings when it comes to providing energy. So it was definitely a great meeting. I think everyone was really impressed, and they'll be presenting it today before the council. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Any other reports of committee? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of the reports of committee.
On acceptance of the reports, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Will the clerk
Absent.
please recognize the counselor in seat number 8?
Counselor Kern.
Present.
Present. Counselor Davila absent. Counselor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Reports of committee are accepted. Next item, Madam Clerk.
The next item is an informational item for the confirmation of William St. Dennis as Deputy Director of Veteran Services.
Good evening, Mr. St. Dennis. Would you mind joining us? If you wouldn't mind, I know you had a committee meeting earlier today, but if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about the position that you're seeking to fill.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is William St. Dennis. I go by Bill. I've been in Veteran Services for the past 10 years with a company called Veterans, Inc., where I do the SSVF program, which is very similar to the Chapter 115 model. I've worked in Springfield for the last 2 years here and worked locally with Springfield Partners, the Bilingual Vet Center, DVS Springfield, and different VSOs throughout Western Mass. I came into this job by wanting to help veterans, specifically homeless veterans, veterans that were at risk. And I learned how to use these programs to house and stabilize them. And truly my life call. So.
Thank you, sir. Will the clerk please recognize the counselor in seat number 7?
Counselor Davila.
Present.
Present.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Mr. St. Dennis? Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. More of a comment. My apologies, Court Street is blocked off. I had to turn around, so my apologies for being a little behind. I just want to put it on the record that the general government meeting met today with Mr. St. Dennis, and in the meeting was myself, Joe DeCaro, and Mr. St. Dennis. I believe all of you have a copy of the resume on your desk. Mr. St. Dennis impressed me. His dedication, the work he has done, the outreach work he has done for the veterans, and I do think he will be a great fit for the city of Springfield. So I do urge you to vote up his appointment, and those are my comments. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Counselor Davila. Counselor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a quick statement. I want to commend you for your service, and you're truly a true hero. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Any other councilors? Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. Yeah, Bill, could you compare a little bit of your work experience with Universal Services Advocate for the Veterans Incorporated with the work you'll be doing in Springfield in Veterans?
Yes, absolutely. The Universal Advocate position I hold, it manages a grant called SSVF. That stands for Supportive Services and Veterans and Families. Pretty much a housing component for veterans that are at risk of becoming homeless or homeless. We provide a security deposit or rent, or we can keep people housed with rental arrears.
So is that similar to what work you'd be doing here as well, or our department does? Is that what you're saying, that the work with the homeless is similar?
It's very similar with Chapter 115. I think it, as I'm studying it and working with different VSOs throughout Western Mass, I realized it's very similar.
Right. That's tough work, trying to provide services for everybody who has served to support all of us, and then facing potentially homelessness. So I respect you for wanting to do that work, and hope that your experience, if you get this job, your experience is helpful.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. St. Dennis, so you were working in Connecticut,
Yes.
but you live in Springfield?
Yep. So,
Okay, great. So I was talking to Director DeCaro earlier, and I was just glad to hear that he's going to be getting some help. I think this is very admirable work that you do and that you've been doing, so I'm just really grateful that you have decided to come to the city and do the work here. So thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Any other comments or questions regarding the appointment of Mr. St. Dennis? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the appointment.
On confirmation, approval of the confirmation, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Appointment is confirmed. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. St. Dennis. Thank you for your service. Okay, Madam Clerk, item number 2, please. Is
Item number 2 is a petition for Eversource on Bicentennial Highway.
there anyone here to speak on this petition for Eversource?
I am.
Good evening, Mr. Ferrero. Can you please introduce yourself, name and address for the record?
Yes, my name is Jason Ferrero. I reside in Somers, Connecticut, and I'm here on behalf of Eversource.
Okay. Mr. Ferrero, why don't you tell us about this petition, please?
Sure. So we're requesting permission to install 4 35-foot Class 2 fully owned poles to add lights to the end of Bicentennial Highway. The
We
pole
cannot
line-
hear you, Mr. Ferrero.
How about now? Is that any better?
I don't think it's on your end, Mr. Ferrero. I think we've had some technical difficulties in this room, so just if you could keep trying to talk, and in the meantime,
Sure.
Focus will try to focus on your sound.
Okay. Any better?
For the time being, yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll start over. So we're requesting permission to install 4 35-foot Class 2 fully owned poles to add streetlights to the end of Bicentennial Highway. The pole line will start.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Ferrero. We'll give it one more try, and then if we can't hear you, then we'll have to table this and move on.
All right. You want to try again?
Apologize.
No worries. Can you hear me now?
Goes in and out. We can hear you clearly, and then it fades, and then we hear you clearly again.
Let me try something. One moment. Let's do it like this. I have a headset. I'll try. Is that any better?
For now, why don't you try again?
Okay, so we're requesting permission to install 4 35-foot Class 2 fully owned poles to add streetlights at the end of Bicentennial Highway. The pole line will begin at Allen Street, start approximately 40 feet north of the intersection, then 100 foot between each pole. The poles will be centered to the median and have 2 92-watt LED luminaires each.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrero. Any questions for the petitioner? Councilor Govan?
Just what did he do different to make him sound better? Because I couldn't hear Counselor Brown.
Yeah, Mr. Ferrero, what did you do differently there, Mr. Ferrero, when we were able to hear you clearly at the end, if you don't mind us asking?
I just plugged in a headset.
Plugged in your headset. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Of course.
Okay,
Thank
any
you, Mr.
questions
President.
any questions about the petition here? Okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on.
I just have a quick question.
Okay, Councilor Santinello, you have the floor. If you can, try to raise your hand so I can
on
see
the-
it, please.
I'm sorry. On the lumens for the lights, is that the standard? Is that the standard?
It is for a roadway like that. I don't want to go too bright because I don't want the light to wash into the neighborhood that was just built.
Yeah. The reason why I'm bringing it up is if you know, well, obviously you know the X, and you know the lighting that there, it's very poor, and there's a lot of accidents, but pedestrians get hit on Sumner Avenue. Is there anything we can do to increase the lumens on those lights? They look like the old antique lights, and they don't give off any light.
We could look into that. That'd be something you'd have to talk to the DPU or DPW on.
Yeah.
Because that's who I get all my requests from.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you, Councilor Santinello. Seeing no further comments or questions, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the petition, Counselor Walsh.
Yes, I'm going to vote yes, and I could hear the petitioner clearly.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Petition is approved. Item number 3, Madam Clerk.
Item number 3 is for a CDBG entitlement grant, no match required, in the amount of $3,740,488.
Ms. Bono or Mr. Sheehan, you can fight for it, whoever you'd like to.
I'll do it one more time.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind directing the microphone a little
Oh,
closer
sorry.
to you. Thank you.
Sorry. The city receives 4 entitlements from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is one of them. Just to let you know, all 4 went down this year. This is the CDBG. It only went down 11,000. It went down to $3,740,488. We use these funds for public service activities, our sidewalk program. We fund parks. We usually are the match for some other federal funds, so they use our money as match. We do an emergency repair program, which we do mostly people's roofs that need to be replaced on an emergency basis. That program used to be run due upon sale or transfer, but now it is being run like our first-time homebuyer program, which is the grant is forgiven 20% each year over 5 years, as long as you own the home. We also fund a mural program, and we fund street sweeps through code enforcement. They're Saturday proactive sweeps.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments regarding this grant? Okay. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the grant, Counselor Walsh?
yes,
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Cliff Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Perez?
yes,
Yes, Counselor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Grant is approved. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is for a home entitlement grant, no match required, in the amount of $1,502,181.
Ms. McCaffrey, good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Jerry McCafferty, Director of Housing. I'm here to speak to this and the next 2 grants. They are the other 3 entitlement grants from HUD. The home grant is $1.5 million. Annually, this is down about $300,000 from last year. We use these funds for 4 purposes. The first is down payment assistance for new homeowners. The second is tenant-based rental assistance for chronically homeless people, many of whom have been otherwise living outside on the streets. We do this in a partnership with the Mental Health Association. The third is development of rental housing, multifamily rental housing. We're typically a junior partner where the state and housing tax credits are the majority of the funding. And then the fourth area is home ownership development. We partner with developers in the community to develop single-family homes for affordable home ownership.
Thank you, Ms. McCaffrey. Do any counselors object to us hearing these 3 grants together? Item number 4, 5, and 6.
No objection.
Okay. Seeing no objection, are there any questions for Ms. McCaffrey on any of these grants? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk. Oh,
I have
Counselor Santinello, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
If you use, Counselor Santinello, if you use, there's a
Yeah,
button.
I'm just trying to, I'm trying to find the button.
Okay,
I'm trying to click my picture and get to the button, but I can't, so I'm raising my hand.
that's okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Quick question, on the city of Springfield's housing shortage, how short are we on housing?
How short are we? Many thousands of units. I couldn't tell you an
Okay.
exact number off the top of my head.
Okay, could you get that number for me? Would that be possible to get that information over to the council?
I'm not sure anyone has done those projections just for Springfield. The UMass Donahue Institute typically does projections like that. They estimate that the Pioneer Valley is 11,000 units short total. I don't know that they've divided it out by city.
Okay, I know the governor has a big push on funding for housing. Do you know where that stands on the bonding with the state?
The state bond bill is for $4.1 million. It has not passed yet. I think there's a lot of optimism that it will pass, and it has to be passed by the end of this legislative session, so by July 31st.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Counselor Santinello. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on items 4, 5, and 6.
On items 4, 5, and 6, Counselor Walsh?
yes,
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Perez?
I have to abstain from item 5 and 6. Yes,
Would you like to vote yes on item 4?
Well, she can abstain from all
From
3,
all 4.
Madam Clerk, because we're going to do them all at once.
okay, so I abstain. Thank you.
Abstain, Counselor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Grants are approved. Madam Clerk, items 7, 8, and 9 are all below our threshold. If you could please read them
Item 7 is Fire Emergency Management Performance Grant Increase of $4,000. Item 8 is a donation, Police Superintendent Akers. And item 9 is an FY24 Libraries cash donation in the amount of $435.92.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on acceptance of these grants.
On acceptance of the grants, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado? Away, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield. Absent, Counselor Perez?
yes,
Yes, Counselor Fenton?
Yes, more than sufficient. Grants are approved. City would like to specifically thank the anonymous donor of $5,000 for Superintendent Akers' use in the police department. Thank you to that anonymous donor. Next, Madam Clerk, item number 10, please.
Item 10 is a bond authorization for 2 fire apparatus in the amount of $3,290,000.
Ms. Bono?
Hi. This bond authorization, this bond order was actually voted and approved unanimously by the council November 13th of 2023. The reason I'm bringing it back is because our bond council realized that it was not in our FY24 capital improvement plan, and it needs to be in there. So the bond council asked that we have it re-voted on by the city council. So this $3.2 million is for the purchase of a tower truck and an engine. The lead time on these is about 30 to 40 months. So they need to put the order in for these 2 trucks, and this is what this bond authorization gives them, the funding source. And again, it was already voted on. This is kind of a housekeeping correction, and I apologize to the council. I told Commissioner Calvi he did not need to be here. So if you're mad, be mad at me, not him.
Thank you.
I just thought it was housekeeping. You've already voted unanimously. I didn't think it would be an issue.
Thank you, Ms. Bono. Any questions for the council? Counselor Santinello. Wait, Counselor Santinello. Counselor Davila. Counselor Santinello. Counselor Davila first. Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Kathy. Just a clarifying question. I believe, so this is for $3,290,000. Did I hear you say that there was an increase during the finance meeting on this one? Or am I getting them confused?
If there was what? I'm sorry.
An increase, I know you said
It
that.
didn't increase, no. It was the same amount that you approved
Same amount, okay.
on November 13th. We're only back here because it was not in our capital plan, and it has to be in the capital plan before we can before we can issue a bond.
So it has to be revoted, basically. Correct?
Yes.
It has to be revoted back in.
It has to be revoted on, yes. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be re-advertised, just revoted on. Bond
Okay.
council
All
asked
right.
us.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor Davila. Counselor Santinello.
Yes, Kathy, I don't know whether you can answer this. I think Commissioner Calvi would be better to ask this, but why is there such a delay on these vehicles? Are they custom made?
Yes, and I mean, I think you know on all cars now, there's a delay on everything being made right now. I mean, I think we're just finishing up a bond from last year for vehicles for DPW. There's just a delay on all vehicles. And they're estimating a 30 to 40 month delay, parts, et cetera. Supply chain issues are still an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, so that delay of 36 or 40 months is factored into an increased cost. So if we had these on time or in a timely fashion, they would be less expensive. But because they're out there by a couple of years or more, that raises the cost of the vehicle?
Not necessarily, Counselor. I mean, I can get that answer for you, but we have to place the order now, and they have to follow bidding and procurement rules, so that is the price. I don't think if they can get it quicker, we'll get it cheaper, or if longer, it'll be more expensive, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Santinello. Counselor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to kind of, Councilor Santinello, to throw some light into this. If I recall correctly, when Commissioner Calvi appeared before us, he said there was a 2 or 3 year backlog of these orders. I do recall him distinctively saying that if we put this in now, we could save approximately $300,000 by putting this order now, because everything has increased. And as to why there's such a backlog, nobody really knows. But the bottom line is that if we don't do this now, it's going to cost us more money later down the road. And also, Mr. President, I would like to also take this quick opportunity to again reemphasize something that I've spoken publicly before and privately, the need to get to more TAC units, fully staffed. Those guys out there in the TAC units, they're doing a great job. They're also getting burned out, sir. Those guys, I can attest to it. Those guys really work hard. And I'm concerned with their well-being. They're really getting burned out. They're working way too hard. And we need, Kathy, I know I told you this before, we need to bond more money for at least 2 more trucks to give them a hand, because it's an issue. It's an issue out there. So just want to take that quick opportunity, Mr. President, to make this comment, again, to reiterate my call to get 2 more TAC unit trucks. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other councilors? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the bond.
2/3 is required for this vote.
On approval of the bond, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Bond is authorized.
Excuse
Ms.
me,
Bono,
Mr.
if...
President, I believe, did you call Santinello?
Oh, did we miss Councilor
Yeah.
Santinello?
Yeah, you did. Yes.
Counselor Santinello?
Please record
Yes.
Councilor Santinello as having voted yes on that
Yes.
bond authorization. Sorry about that, Councilor Santinello. The grant has more than sufficient votes. It is approved. Madam Clerk, item number 11.
Item number 11 is a budget transfer within a department from finance to multi-year pay-go in the amount of $1,478,065.72.
Anyone here to speak on this item?
Thank you, Mr. President. Lindsay Hackett, Deputy CAFO, 80 Tamarack Drive in Springfield. So this order is one that we will bring to you at the end of the fiscal year generally, and it is to move our PAYGO funding from FY24 to be available for use in FY25 to continue ongoing PAYGO projects that have started in FY24.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hackett? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval of the transfer, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Transfer is approved. Item number 12.
Item 12 is a transfer from reserve to contingencies to the Office of Procurement for $25,000.
Ms. Bono?
Me again. This is a transfer for $25,000 to the procurement's advertising account. For those of you who are at the budget hearing for the procurement office, Lauren Stablo explained that the cost has gone up as well as the number of bids in this past year she has had to do. That was due to additional funding through ARPA and ESCO funds, as well as the fact that she has had to go out on more than once for the bids that she never received any responses to, or only got one, so they went out again. So their cost for the advertising has gone up substantially, and she's requesting another $25,000 in that line item to get her through the end of the year.
Thank you, Ms. Bono. Any questions on this item from the council or comments?
Yeah, I have a
Councilor
quick question.
Santinello.
Yeah. On the, Kathy, on the ARPA money, when someone is granted the ARPA money but doesn't use it, is that turned back in, and then what happens to that money?
Most of the contracts are not over yet. A lot of them end on June 30th. Some go longer than that, but if they are not using it, it goes back into the fund, and then those funds will be reused. They have to be all committed by December of '24 and fully expended by December of '26, or then the funds would have to go back to the federal government. But we are in line to have them all committed by December of '24.
Okay, but the ones that aren't used go back in, and then someone else could apply for that money?
We're not putting out any new programs. It's my understanding that any money that is turned back or any money after the programs stop, those funds will then be used to fund city projects that were not originally funded. It's my understanding that we will not be reopening any programs to the public.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Santinello. Any other councilors? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On approval, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield, absent. Councilor Perez.
yes,
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Transfer is approved. Item number 13.
Item number 13 is collective bargaining agreement ratification for the National Association of Government Employees, Local 1021.
Good evening, Mr. Mahoney.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for your time this evening. We have a little bit different kind of a collective bargaining agreement in front of you tonight. The current agreement affects about 10 employees. They're building inspectors, plumbing inspectors, wire inspectors. They are actually under contract until June 30th of 2025, so another year from now. But what we did was we agreed to reopen this contract. We wanted to make a market adjustment with respect to the salaries. The current salaries effective, if it's approved by the council, would be effective tonight for the rest of this fiscal year, which would impact next year. And that would increase those salaries, this market adjustment, by 6.5% on the high end and 11.5% on the low end. You may recall that we noticed the council twice within the last couple of months that we were looking for residency waivers because we're having trouble attracting and retaining building inspectors. The state has very high qualifications in order to become a building inspector. They're very rare, and it's very rare to actually be allowed by the state to actually take the exam. So what we're looking to do is make us more competitive with other area public sector employers that hire building inspectors by making this market adjustment now and then extending the contract by 2 years at 2% each year for FY26 and FY27.
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Any questions from the council on this contract approval? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mahoney, good to see you. Question for you. Maybe you could throw some light. I see here the memo that was provided by, I believe, your office. Yes. You talk about 40 hours per week, and something about, is that a reduction to 37.5 hours?
No. So the current contract has a pay plan in there that's set at 37.5 hours. And we have an agreement with the union that we can increase that, those number of hours by up to 40 hours a week. So from 37.5 to 40 hours a week. So the pay plan is actually a 37.5 hour pay plan. But if we go up to 40, we got to increase by 6.7%. And we did the opposite with this agreement. We have a 40-hour pay plan, and we would reduce that by 6.7% if we went back to 37.5, and that is not our intention. It's not our intention to go back in hours.
Okay, and so this is going to be retroactive, correct?
No, it won't be retroactive. It'll be effective. If you vote on this tonight,
It'll be effective today?
The new pay rate will go into effect today.
Okay.
And then we'll just ride through the rest of this month at those higher rates and then have a 2% increase on July 1, 2024, 25, and 26.
Okay, and if we do increase to 40 hours, Roughly, that's what it comes out
It's
to be.
already at 40. It's already there. We're already at that
So it's
40.
already, so if we do increase it, there's no need for the transfers. The money's already there, correct?
It would have a very small impact. I believe it's going to be assumed within the current budget for this year.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Curran. Councilor Curran, you are muted.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. Bill, can you just shed light on the residency requirement? Does this have any effect on residency, what we're voting on here today? Or can you give us a rundown about that and kind of mention it?
They are subject to the city's residency ordinance, and that is why what I was talking about earlier, Councilor, was that we actually submitted to you 2 waivers for 2 people that we were bringing on board. And from those 2, one of them actually took the position, the other one declined the position.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. Any other councilors? Councilor Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bill, just a quick question. I know you said this is going to take effect July 1st of this next fiscal year. Did you say that this was not covered already in the budget that we passed?
No, this will, if you vote on this tonight, it will take effect with respect to the new wage plan tonight for the building inspectors, which would be an increase. And then they'll have the regular increase that they've already negotiated for July 1, and then we've added 2 more years to the contract, where they'll get 2% each year for those additional 2 years.
So you're saying it's just an extension?
It's an extension of the
For
contract.
fiscal year
with a-
25 and 26?
Yeah, with an adjustment right now for the market.
Okay. I was just trying to understand how this impacts us in what we've already passed for
Right.
fiscal 25.
Right.
So
So we reopened for this pay plan for right now, and then we added 2 years to the contract.
okay.
Thank you, Councilor Delgado. Any other councilors? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, Councilor Curran, are you trying to be heard?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one quick question for you, Mr. President, or for Bill. Is there anyone from, does the building inspectors have a union, or is there anyone to speak on behalf of themselves, one of the building inspectors? Do they have any rep?
They do have a union, and we did inform their representative that we were coming tonight. He emailed us today, said, hey, are you guys going to bring this to the council tonight? And I said, yes, we are.
And they're in favor of it, obviously. Am I
They have
correct?
voted, yes, they have voted in favor of it, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? Item number 13.
On approval of the agreement, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce. Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield, absent. Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes, more than sufficient. Bargaining agreement is approved. Item number 14, Madam Clerk. Last item.
Item number 14 is Springfield Community Choice Power Supply Aggregation Plan.
Ms. Quagliato Sullivan.
Good evening, councilors. Tina Quagliato Sullivan, Office of Community Development. So I am here on behalf of the Community Choice Power Supply Program. This is something that I believe the council actually advocated for in a previous iteration of itself. What we are seeking to do here, so currently the way the power supply in the city works is that residents either get their power supply from Eversource or they can negotiate on their own with private suppliers. This option would allow the city to negotiate on behalf of residents and enter into a contract with a power supplier directly. And then Eversource would still continue to be the servicer of the energy services. So at this point, the city has, the Office of Management and Budget procured a consultant To assist us and guide us through the process, the city selected Colonial Power. I have Mark Capadona here from Colonial Power to answer technical questions about this. We have also put together a draft plan in accordance with the Department of Public Utilities rules, and we have put that draft plan out for public comment. We received, the public comment period closed on May 31st. We received approximately 5 public comments. All of those were in favor of the program, and some of them had just some suggestions for different ways the city could implement this program. We are seeking council approval to forward the plan to the Department of Public Utilities. They would then approve the plan. We are anticipating that will probably take about 6 months. They just recently revamped their process. Prior to this, it was taking about 3 years for plans to get approved, or anywhere from 1 to 3 years, but generally on the longer side, that has shortened significantly. So we are hopeful that we will get approval relatively quickly. Once we get approval, then our consultant on the city's behalf would go out to the marketplace, to look what the rates look like. At that point, the city can decide whether the rates are favorable or not to residents and determine whether it's appropriate to move forward. If we go out and decide that the rates that come back are not favorable, then we would wait a little while and see if those rates then become more favorable and try again. Residents will have the ability to opt in and out on their own. There's no cost to them for doing so. Included in our draft plan is also an extensive education and outreach plan. In there, the city will hold at least 3 public meetings that will be open to all residents and accessible to all residents. There will also be a mass mailing to all users. And there is also the option for organizations like neighborhood councils and nonprofits and or coalitions like Live Well Springfield to request that Colonial Power come and do a presentation for the purposes of reaching more residents to inform them of the process and what this will look like and mean to them. We will also have a website with frequently asked questions and information about this. And there will also be information given to residents about who they contact with questions and how that process will work. So if you have questions, we can kind of answer those tonight.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I know I was in the meeting earlier and I heard the presentation, and I'm glad that you guys are here. And as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about, is this the same thing as Eversource, like letting us choose a different different supplier, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The difference is, the state and the Attorney General have called out some of those practices as somewhat predatory. The goal here is to try and minimize the number of residents that are entering into predatory agreements by providing choices and options that have been vetted by professionals that have experience and that are not out to enter into predatory contracts with residents.
Correct, because I remember, I think I did that one time before I had solar. And I chose a different supplier, and then I ended up paying more than what Eversource was, but no one told me that it was happening. So, so what about the delivery charge? Is that still going to be what Eversource is going to do?
You want to answer that?
So I'm kind of scared that Eversource will increase their delivery charge if they're not being the supplier or something. I don't know. If you could, talk to that.
Mark Capadona, Colonial Power. Excellent question. The answer is no. That's regulated by the Department of Public Utilities, meaning when I say no, they're not going to raise rates because you entered into this program. They are going to raise rates because that's what happens on the delivery side of things, but it won't have anything to do with the supply portion. Since 1997, they haven't been able to make a profit on the supply side of the bill.
Okay.
So it doesn't affect their revenue at all, this program.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Delgado.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just had a couple questions. You know, this sounds exciting. I'm assuming the fact that the city is trying to work on behalf of residents, meaning you are able to provide more potential customers to this, whoever this supplier we pick. So assuming that's going to reduce rates, I guess? Is that fair to say?
I mean, I think the goal is, right, the city is sort of aggregating the customers.
Bringing more buying
with
power.
the hope
Yeah.
that we will get, I think, firstly, more stable rates for residents and hopefully cost savings for residents.
Got, no, that's,
And I should also add that our draft plan does include both a basic and premium option. We have had some public comments urging the city to offer a premium option that's 100% green energy. At this point, without seeing the rates, we're sort of not committing to that exactly. We want to be able to see what's actually in the market before we commit to anything like that.
that was going to be one of my questions is how are you going to pick suppliers? Is it going to be strictly off of price, or is it also you're going to look into how they're actually creating that energy?
So we're going to look into both and
Okay.
see what the options are. And I think Mark can kind of speak to that probably more directly, the different types of options we'll look at.
So this program's truly about choice. We're going to make sure that everyone's financially stable to do so. We know all the suppliers that are serving aggregations in Massachusetts. So we're going to go through each and every one of those, what I'll call details, with whoever the committee is. These people are strong here, they're weak here, they do this, they have a large balance sheet. Those kind of issues will all be looked at before someone makes a decision. All the information will be available.
Got it. And then just my last question is, I'm assuming other communities have done this, so I guess I'm just curious to know what's the history been of other communities that have attempted this.
So right now, there's about 177 communities in Massachusetts doing this since about 2006. The first is the Cape Light Compact, and the one thing I'll say is the stabilization of rates has been a fantastic, as everyone in this room has been through the shock of the last few years. People that had these aggregation plans had a stable rate during that shock, and they weren't exposed to the higher rates. So it does two things, and the goal is savings, but we can deliver the stability that you can't get out of the utilities at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Delgado.
Actually, and I think the other thing that I want to stress just for Councilor Delgado is this is completely voluntary for residents, right? So they can opt in or out at any time. So if they choose, and they can sort of opt in and then decide, you know what, I don't like the rate, and opt back out.
Yeah, no, I think that's important, but I think it's good that we educate the folks about this opportunity. I mean, the fact that I heard that there was only 5 responses to, I mean, that kind of troubles me. So I'm hoping that when we go back out, that we're talking about education. I mean, everybody should know about this, because I'm sure if it does do what we hope it does, I mean, everybody right now could use that reduction, right?
Yes.
In terms of savings.
So I think our goal is to try and really do extensive outreach and education once our plan is approved. I will say, when we did put it out for public comment, we did make sure for folks that are digitally limited that there were copies in English and Spanish at every public library, that folks could submit comments in person at the clerk's office, and also that plans were available at neighborhood council offices that have physical locations, as well as the senior center. So we'll continue that as we move forward and expand that. And certainly are open to suggestions from the council if there are specific places that you'd like to see us do that.
Thank you. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Tina.
Good evening.
Some quick questions. Let me start with, I believe it's Mark, right?
Yes.
Mark. Hi, Mark. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
So, Mark, I believe you said 177 communities in the Commonwealth are doing this, correct?
I'm sorry.
I believe you said that 177 communities throughout the Commonwealth are doing this.
Currently taking supply, that's correct.
Okay, and would you be able to tell me how many of those you are currently servicing?
We currently have supply, I believe, on 83 communities in Massachusetts.
So roughly over half, okay.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Tina, actually a couple of questions for you. So And please, I guess it's more like education for me. Let me start with the easy one. How long is this contract for?
Which contract? That we will enter into
Yes.
with suppliers? I think at this point, we can't say. I think it sort of depends on what we negotiate once we get approval from the DPU.
So what exactly are you asking us to do today then?
Right now, we're asking you to approve the draft plan
The draft
to
plan.
go to DPU for them to then approve us to move forward with the program. That would then allow us to go out and begin negotiating rates.
Okay, I see. Okay, I'm glad you specified that. Okay. Now, Tina.
Yep.
So, well, I guess the next question I was going to ask you was our RFPs. Did you say something about RFPs or how the Colonial came to be?
Yes, so the city, the Office of Management and Budget, actually, when TJ was still there, did a solicitation to select a consultant.
Okay, and that process was.
And that's how Colonial Power was selected.
Okay, all right. Okay, got it. Now, the one thing that, there's two things that caught my eye. Let me start with the talks here on the information that we have here, the documents. On page 89, or page 9, depending on how you look at it, talks about budget, talks about $145,000 for direct mailing, $500 for press conference, $7,500 for news, for media. I think that's for marketing. Is that something that Colonial is going to cover, or are we covering it?
Yeah, do you want to speak to that?
Absolutely. That cost will be covered by the winning competitive supplier, just so that they're aware of how what the cost will be in about. But they've been doing this for years, so those costs are borne by the supplier.
Okay, all right. Now, my other question could be either for Tina or Mark. I don't know who can answer it better, but let's talk about the opting in and opting out. If I read correctly, in section 1.21, talks about, if I read it correctly, if I didn't, please correct me, talks about everybody's going to be opted in, and then you have to send a card back and sign it if you want to opt out. Is that correct?
Correct. So I just want to make sure that I'm stating it clear. This program is an opt-out municipal aggregation, meaning that everyone that's on basic service with Eversource West will be mailed before the program starts. If you do nothing, you'll be enrolled in the program. But that only means you could opt out before the program ever started, or you could opt out at any time after that if you were unhappy for any reason. You can opt back in for any reason. There's no fee or no penalty, but I think that's a very big point. It's an opt-out municipal aggregation, and that is by statute, 164, 134, in the state, the MGL. So it has to be an opt-out, and that has to do with energy, the way energy is procured, so that you can get a better price.
Right. So my apologies. We're having some noise outside, so I'm trying to hear you out. So if I don't want to be in the program, I have to mail you back this card with my signature, correct?
So you could mail back the card, you could make a phone call, you could go online, or you could even call the utility. Any one of them will get you out of the program. This is not third-party supply. This is a municipal program, and no one is trying to hold you in these programs. The goal is to make sure that you get the choice that you want. If you don't wish to be in the program, no problem. We're not going to keep you in the program.
No, I understand that, Mark, but what I'm looking is the consumer side, because I'm thinking of the elderly. I'm thinking people who are going to be confused naturally with this. And I would hate to see a scenario in which somebody ends up in a higher rate when they could automatically benefit from the lower rate. Follow what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so we would never start a program that had a rate above basic service. We get this is a fantastic chance to be a Monday morning quarterback. It's very simple. We wouldn't start the program. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. That doesn't mean 6 months from now, when the basic service rate may have dropped, you might be slightly over that rate or what have you. It happens. It does happen. But someone could opt out at that time. All the rates will be on the website. They could always call and ask. And again, we're here to help inform.
So right. So they could opt out. My apologies. I have to give you my bag. Otherwise, people at home won't hear me. So can people opt out at any point, or is that yearly?
Any point. So
Any point,
I
okay.
need to, so we all still don't, we don't have a smart meter. We can only opt out on our monthly meter reads. So if you call up on the 1st of the month and your meter read is until the 15th of the month, we would then opt you out on the 15th of the month, and then on your next bill, you would see that.
Okay. All right. I think those are my questions. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Perez.
I have to say that this came alive. Thank you as the former chair of the Environmental Committee, working along with Jesse Letterman, Live Well, and Pioneer Valley. I'm glad to hear, and I will be in 100% support, because we have been requesting having some gatekeepers. There's no secrecy in this city how the rates in electricity has come up. So I have to say this. Thank you, Live Well, for all the work you did along with me as a former chair of the Environmental Committee and the Pioneer Valley. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chairwoman Perez. Councilor Click Bruce, then Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Council President. I think this is a great program. Really excited to learn more about it, actually. And to Tina Q, just really want to touch on some suggestions how we can get the word out to our community, because I think that's going to be huge for us. One would be to go to our local community centers, to pass out information or have a table, local churches, also to our early childhood centers. That's where most of the parents are. So we want to make sure we're hitting those key points or those key locations. Also partnering with the city council, really, because we have our own networks too, where we can push this information, because it's going to be huge for our residents. Anytime we can provide relief to our residents, I think we got to take this opportunity. And also to Councilor Davila's point as well, we really, what he was touching on with them, being able to opt in and opt out at any time, I think that's huge, because it's going to be huge for them to, once the program is approved, if we approve it, they're already automatically being opt-in. And some folks may not know, what's going on. So education is going to be huge for our residents, even our elderly, and even some of our younger residents. So education is going to be huge, letting them know if they don't want it, they have to, take that up, whether it's via the internet or make a phone call. But we have to let our residents know what's going on. So I think that's going to be huge. So again, I'm in support of this. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to reiterate, like my colleague, Councilor Bruce said, I believe this is a great program. This is something that gives the constituents and consumers another option. So this is huge. This is a big step for the residents of Springfield, and I'm in favor of it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Delgado.
I just had one follow-up question. Once we go through this whole process, and it's to the whole opt-out question, will we be able to, when I'm assuming there's monthly bills or whatever, are we able to send comparison in terms of what the rates would be, in terms of like who we're ever contracted with, but then every bill has a comparison to what it would have been if it was Eversource?
Unfortunately, when we send the opt-out notice, there's going to be an apples-to-apples comparison. Here's the town program and the city program and their rate, and this is Eversource's rate. After that, unfortunately, at this time, the Department of Public Utilities does not allow for basic service rates to be on a supply. I'm hopeful that in the future that is the case, because that's simply education, and it's a win for all of us. So I hope that's something that happens. Right now, it's not allowed. So they could always see it on the website, but it will not be on the monthly bill that comes to their home.
Okay, I think that for me, that goes part of the education piece, is just making sure that folks understand that, so that they can periodically check on that. So.
Wow.
I have no further comment, Mr. President.
We're used to hearing music in here, but that one was really close. I don't know where that. Councilor Delgado, are you done?
I'm good.
Okay. Councilor Curran, then Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to reiterate, I just want to thank my fellow colleagues, Maria Perez, and also Councilor Govan, and our former Council President, President Letterman, for leading the charge on this. It's a great example of how the City Council can fight for consumers and residents of Springfield and provide good public policy, much needed. Obviously, electric rates are through the roof, but this is really a great display and example of the economic development initiatives that began on the Springfield City Council and coming to fruition. So for all the work that Maria Perez, the hard work that Maria Perez and Zeta Gilban and former Councilor Letterman put on this, I think it's great work, and it's a great example of good public policy by the Springfield City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I agree that this is a great idea. Now, I just want to be clear. Did you say that it's going to be automatically opt-in and then you have to opt out? So I agree with Council Delgado, and I think, I'm not sure who else said it, but we definitely are going to have to do a public education. And of course, you know, we can do that in Indian Orchard and in Ward 8, because I think a lot of residents might be surprised at some point. So I'm glad that this is coming to fruition, because we have been working at this for a very long time. And I just want to make sure that we continue to keep our residents in mind when we're going forward. Thank you.
So, and once the plan is approved, I will certainly send an email to the council letting you all know and just ask for any suggestions or recommendations you have in terms of outreach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Any other councilors? Councilor Davila?
Well, it's in the back of my head. Mark, quick question. If you can compare apples to apples, would you be able to give us a factual number of what much cheaper is usually for residents? How much can we expect a minimum saving to be?
So normally we see somewhere in the range of 7 to 10% savings, somewhere in that range. Now, again, I just, that's a generalization.
Right.
Over the last couple of years, it's been much higher, but I don't want to use that only because of the elevated basic service rates.
Yeah.
So I would say somewhere between 7 and 10% has been kind of the, the average savings that customers have been able to enjoy.
No, I understand, but 7-10% of $200 in my fussy math, that might be enough money for copays for medicine, or milk, or bread. So that's a good number. Hopefully it will be higher. But I just wanted to compare to apples in case I'm asked what we can expect the savings to be. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any other councilors? Okay, I do have a couple of questions, so if Councilor Edwards wouldn't mind coming down or coming up, I'll go down, and Councilor Edwards will finish up the meeting for us.
President Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President Edwards, and thank you for all your hard work on this. I know this has been, from a municipal perspective, close to a decade in the making. This is about choice, like you said, Mark, and the part that I'm getting a little confused about is that what will residents really be choosing? I mean, electricity is electricity. There's no good electricity and bad electricity. We're getting the same power, so it really comes down to just one variable, in my opinion. It's just cost, right? I mean, that's the only difference, isn't it? Or are there other factors we should be considering other than cost here?
So they could also, it's up to the city whether they decided to green up the load of the community, meaning add more renewables than Eversource would have. So you could add 5% more renewables, so 10, 20, 30% more. So it could be a more renewable product using less carbon, if you will. So they could also do that. It does come at a higher price, but you would have two products, and then maybe you put them in the meats, and if somebody wanted to choose that greener product, they have the ability to do so.
But by and large, when given the choice, especially given the socioeconomic status of people in Springfield and the overall large nature of the electric bills, it's not my impression that many Springfield homeowners are opting into, more expensive plans that are just a little bit more green. I think price is really the variable that's going to drive this. So when they're automatically opted in, is there another choice they need to make, or will the city and through its consultants decide who the best suppliers are and aggregate that supply for the consumer?
The city, with our help, will make a decision, XYZ supplier for 24 months at this rate.
But
And
they won't, the consumer won't have to choose between the suppliers. We will choose for them. That's
that
a
is
part of the
correct.
benefit.
That is correct. If they don't do anything, they'll be enrolled in that program. It's all about the ease here.
Okay. And
If they wanted that premium product, they would be put here, and then they'd have to make a choice up to a more renewable product.
the premium product is the one
That
that's
is
more,
correct.
the one that's more renewable, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And I know you said you can't guarantee lower costs, but we clearly expect and hope for lower costs. Does the consumer get a comparison or any way to know whether or not their cost is lower than it would have been had they stuck with Eversource, for example, for supply?
So our rates, and we have a calculator on the website, it will always allow them to put in there, okay, this is how many kilowatts I used, and we'll have the town's rate and the current basic service rate. So it'll say, I saved $7, or this program cost me $11.
So they'd have to know things like the kilowatt usage. I mean, I don't have the foggiest idea. So
It's
is
on
there
your bill.
It's a what?
It's on your bill, though. It's not like they'd have to know it. I mean, they just have to have their bill with them.
Oh, I see. So if you had your bill, you could go to the website and say, would it have been cheaper had I used Eversource? And then it will kind of reveal that through the math. is what you're saying.
Exactly. Not everyone has the same usage, so you may have saved $7, someone else may have saved $12, someone else may have saved $3, just
Right.
depending on. Now,
But when it's cheaper with Eversource, it's going to be across the board for everybody, be just
that is
based
exactly,
on overall.
just on usage. That's correct.
So overall, I think this is a terrific program, and it'll be a wonderful benefit to the city. I definitely intend to support it. Thank you for educating us on it so we can educate our constituents. The last kind of direction of my questions on this is about the billing. And so the city will be aggregating the supply, but how will the consumer be billed and from whom?
Great question. So this program, from a consumer perspective, what the city is engaging in is a electricity futures hedge. So what we're buying is the electron running through the wire. Everything else will still be Eversource. So if your power goes out, you're going to call Eversource. You have a problem with your bill, you're going to call Eversource.
Oh, no, they're going to call us too now. I promise you that, Mark. We're going to get I promise you that. We're going to get the calls too.
No, but I'm saying you, the city council, when that happens, we'd ask that you have them call us. All we do is answer questions on Muni Ag, because we know they're going to get the correct information there. But what I'm trying to say is, from an end user perspective, really the goal here is stability. Right, we're going to deliver the stability and hopefully the savings, which it has been consistent over the last 15 years. I just don't want to speculate that the next 15 years will be the same.
Right, but to the exact question about the bill, will the bill still come for Eversource for supply and delivery, even though they're no longer supplying?
That is correct. It'll be one bill, and if you have an automatic withdrawal, it will still be an automatic withdrawal. If you have a budget bill, it will still be a budget bill.
Will that bill include the name of the city of Springfield or our seal or reference in any way to us as a municipal corporation and participating in this?
Yes, so on the line, it will say Springfield aggregation, I'm making this up, possibly, XYZ supplier, I just don't want to use the supplier's name. So, City of Springfield, AGG Ag, and then whoever the supplier is will both be right there.
And if you opt out, then you wouldn't get that same information printed on your bill.
It would say generation services, and it would be basic service from Eversource.
Okay.
Is what it says.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, Mr. Vice President, I just want to say I'm in full support of this. It will result in a savings to taxpayers. I think that is not in question. But as you can probably see where I'm headed with this questioning, I think we all need to be prepared that we don't currently, as a municipal institution, get a lot of direct contact from constituents who are complaining about electric bills. I mean, I guess I should rephrase that. We do. But it will increase, I think, exponentially as a result of the participation in this program. Maybe it will fall under no good deed goes unpunished. But the reality is that by municipal participation in the delivery, in the supply aggregation of electricity, I think we can expect more attention to this on a municipal level. And unfortunately, we really won't have much control other than to continue to rely on our consultants to aggregate and deliver savings to the taxpayers. But I think everyone should, come into that being aware that there'll be some city information on there, and we'll be hearing from constituents unhappy about their electric bills no matter what.
So,
Thank you.
and Councilor Fenton, just to a couple of your questions. So Colonial Power will have a number that will be publicized that folks can call with questions. Obviously, that will also be provided to councilors and to the mayor's office, so that when you are getting calls, that's where you would forward people who have questions about that. And then in terms of your question about publicizing rates, so yes, it will be available on the website, but at the time when the city sends the initial opt-out notices, there will be an apples-to-apples comparison of the rate included within that notice.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President. I never get to talk, so I have one more question. From the city's perspective as a consumer of electricity, I know, that this program will be available to all consumers in the city, but the city of Springfield in particular, and I'm thinking not just about our facilities infrastructure, but also the streetlight electric bill that we pay every year. Do we currently, sir, aggregate for purposes of our supply for electricity in Springfield?
Yes.
Okay. So we've realized savings as a result of that because we have, the infrastructure and the consultants to be able to do it thoughtfully, and unfortunately there's some predatory practices, so our residents can't get the same advantage. So I'm in full support of it and look forward to seeing the program implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So I was just thinking about, since you said that, there are going to be some residents that don't even know that this is happening. They might see a change in the name on the bill, but they won't realize that this has happened. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because we may, of course, do all the education we can, go to every neighborhood, go to every senior center, go to every possible source, maybe send out notices in the school, to the school, the parents at home. There'll still be some people who don't realize a change has been made. I'm hoping if that's the case, and it's okay because their bills are going to be lower, but I just want to keep that in mind, I guess. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I have to say that President Fenton's a great question and prompted another question in my head, and this is for either Tina or maybe even Tim Sheehan, who has not said a word yet, but just wondering, so that I'm crystal clear, Colonial Power Group will be the consultant, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and so they're going to choose who the best supplier is.
They're going to provide recommendations to the city, and the city will make that ultimate decision.
The city will make that decision?
Yes.
Okay, and so is there going to be any competition among power suppliers then? Or?
Yes.
And how do they reach out? Is there going to be RFPs? Are there going to be any kind of competition?
Yes, so I expect there'll probably be about 5 different suppliers competing for the load of Springfield.
And how would you go about doing that? How do we? Who will do it? The city or Colonial Group?
So we will. So It's going to get a little technical here, so I apologize.
Please.
Hopefully people won't fall asleep on me here. So we're going to reach out to Eversource. Once approved by the Department of Public Utilities, they'll give us all the load data, everyone's usage data. We'll put this into a spreadsheet, manipulate all the data, call what we call a load profile. We'll then issue it onto the street, people that bid on municipal aggregation in Massachusetts, and those suppliers will first ask for indicative pricing. So we'll set a date 2 weeks out so that everyone can see it. We'll say we'd like to see these terms, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, or any other sweet spot tenor. I'm just making this up. 33 months is something that has a low point on it because it cuts out a couple of winter months. We'd like to see that as well.
Right.
Then we'll show that. We'll sit down with whoever the committee is, taking a look at that, explain what the pricing is, explain what basic services, where that sits in comparison to right now when we're out to bid. And then at that point, we'll make a decision with that committee whether or not we move forward for final pricing or not.
So, I just want to make sure that I understand you clearly and the residents understand you clearly. What you just said, what I think you just said to me was that you will look at some sort of a spreadsheet, some sort of matrix as to who has the best price. It will be going through a committee and then a decision will be made, correct?
Yeah, so we'll manipulate the data, right? We'll just take it and put it into a format that the suppliers are used to looking at. I don't want you to think we're doing anything nefarious. So we're just putting it into data that the utilities look for. And then the town will the city will make the decision whether we're going to move forward or not. All we do is execute on what the city decides.
Right. The reason I'm asking, Tina, is because my concern that the city doesn't get sued for unfair competition. And that's my biggest concern. Tim, is there anything you want to add? You've been awfully quiet.
I'm usually never quiet. So.
That's what worries me, Tim.
No.
I would love to hear your point of view, Tim.
I mean, I'm just echoing the sentiments that the counselors have put here. This is long overdue. It's a great program. As we indicated, a committee will be put together. Obviously, we'll defer to the council president for an appointment onto the committee from the council so that the council will have representation going through the process.
And who else will be in that committee? Do we know?
I'm sorry?
Who else will be in that committee? Do we know the makeup yet?
I believe that finance will also have a representation on the committee, as will the Development Services Department division, and I think we probably should have some level of neighborhood representation as well.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Any more comments? Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
On approval of the plan, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Walsh?
I think she's trying to unmute. Katie, you're muted.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Delgado.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Santinello.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield absent. Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes, the vote is sufficient. The item passes.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, any other business properly brought before this committee?
There's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a moment. Councilor Allen?
Yeah, please. I just want to make an announcement.
Could I have your attention just a moment, Councilor Allen?
Yeah, just want to make an announcement that under Councilor Santinello's committee, he and I have been working with the Springfield Water and Sewer Commission about a lot of different things, and we're going to have a public hearing in here with them on Thursday, June 13th at 5:30. There are a lot of issues to discuss: the water quality, the new water rates, the construction project, the project labor agreement. So I'm hoping that some of you or all of you would be able to find time to attend that, because there's a lot to discuss with the Water and Sewer Commission. So it's a week from Thursday at 5:30.
Thank you, Councilor Alden.
Thank
This
you.
meeting is officially adjourned.